You walk into a room full of people. You smile, you speak, but no one turns, no one remembers your name. And when you leave, it's as if you were never there at all. What does it mean to feel invisible? Not metaphorically, not poetically, but truly, deeply invisible, as if the world has decided you don't matter enough to notice. Invisibility isn't about being ignored once or twice. It's not about a bad day at work or a friend forgetting to text you back. It's something far more insidious. It's the quiet, relentless feeling that you exist in the margins of other people's lives, that you are always the supporting character, never the protagonist. Some people feel this way their entire lives. They move through the world like ghosts, present but unseen, heard but unlistened to. They show up, they contribute, they care deeply, and yet somehow they remain unnoticed, unremarkable, forgotten. This invisibility isn't a choice. It's not about being introverted or preferring solitude. It's about being conditioned over years to believe that your presence doesn't warrant attention, that your voice doesn't deserve to be heard, that your existence is, at best, supplementary. So why do some people feel invisible? And more importantly, what does that invisibility do to the soul? Invisibility often begins long before you're aware of it. It begins in childhood, in the small, seemingly insignificant moments that shape how you see yourself. Imagine this. You're 7 years old. You run home from school, bursting with excitement, clutching a drawing you made. You worked on it for hours. You want to show your mother, but when you find her, she's on the phone. She glances at the drawing, nods absently, and turns away. You stand there holding the paper, and something inside you dims just a little. This happens again and again, not out of cruelty, not out of malice, just out of distraction, busyness, fatigue, life. But to a child, those moments are everything. Because children don't yet have the language to separate their worth from their reception. When you're ignored as a child, you don't think, my parent is stressed. You think, I am not important. Psychologists call this emotional neglect. It's not always dramatic. There's no shouting, no violence. It's quieter than that. It's the absence of something crucial, mirroring. A child needs to see themselves reflected in the eyes of their caregivers. They need to feel seen, acknowledged, validated. When that reflection is missing, the child begins to internalize a devastating belief. I am not worth noticing. And so, invisibility becomes your baseline. You learn to shrink, to not ask for too much, to not need too much, because needing means being disappointed, and disappointment, over and over, becomes unbearable. You carry this blueprint into adulthood. You enter rooms quietly. You apologize for speaking. You delete texts before sending them because you convince yourself no one wants to hear from you anyway. You become skilled at making yourself small because being small means being safe. It means not risking the pain of being overlooked again. But here's the paradox. The smaller you make yourself, the more invisible you become. And the more invisible you become, the more the world confirms what you've always feared, that you don't matter. When you feel invisible, you often try to compensate. You become useful, helpful, indispensable. You think, if I can't be seen for who I am, maybe I can be seen for what I do. So you give. You listen. You support. You become the friend who always shows up, the coworker who always stays late, the partner who always accommodates. You pour yourself into others, hoping that if you give enough, they'll finally notice you. They'll finally see your value. But something strange happens. The more you give, the more you're expected to give, and the less people actually see you. Because when you're always playing the supporting role, people stop thinking of you as a person with needs, desires, and depth. You become a function, a service, a convenience. Psychologists describe this as self-abandonment. You abandon your own needs in favor of others' needs. You silence your own voice because you've convinced yourself that your voice isn't as important. And over time, you lose touch with who you even are beneath all that giving. People-pleasing feels like love, but it's not. It's a survival strategy. It's a way of saying, please don't forget I exist. But the tragedy is, the more you people please, the more you erase yourself. You become so focused on being what others need that you forget to be who you are. And the worst part? People rarely notice, because when you've trained everyone around you to take from you without giving back, they don't see the imbalance. They don't see the exhaustion behind your smile or the loneliness behind your generosity. They just see someone who's always fine, someone who doesn't need anything, so you stay invisible. Not because people are cruel, but because you've made it so easy for them not to see you. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Our society rewards certain types of people with attention and punishes others with obscurity. If you're loud, confident, charismatic, you're noticed. If you command a room, if you're effortlessly interesting, if you have social capital, attractiveness, status, charm, the world bends toward you. People remember your name. They laugh at your jokes. They seek your approval. But if you're quiet, if you're thoughtful, if you're the type of person who listens more than you speak, you often become background noise, not because you're less valuable, but because our culture is built on visibility. We reward those who perform, and we overlook those who simply exist. This is especially true in the age of social media. Visibility is currency. The more followers you have, the more your opinions matter. The more likes you get, the more you're validated. And if you're someone who doesn't perform well online, if you don't post the right pictures, say the right things, or curate the right image, you fade even further into the background. The cruelty of this system is that it punishes the very people who might have the most to offer, the thinkers, the observers, the ones who don't need an audience to validate their existence. These people often feel invisible because the world has decided that quiet depth is less valuable than loud performance. And so, you start to believe it too. You start to think that maybe you're not interesting enough, not attractive enough, not charismatic enough. You internalize the message that invisibility is your fault, that if you were just more outgoing, more funny, more something, people would notice you. But that's not the truth. The truth is you're not invisible because you're lacking. You're invisible because the world isn't looking. So what happens when you spend years feeling invisible? What does it do to you? First, it erodes your sense of self. When you're not reflected back to yourself through other people's attention, you start to question your own existence. You wonder if you're real, if your thoughts matter, if your feelings are valid. You become disconnected from yourself because there's no external confirmation that you exist in any meaningful way. Psychologists call this dissociation, a kind of psychological numbness that occurs when you feel fundamentally unseen. You go through the motions of life, but you don't feel fully present. You watch yourself from a distance, as if you're observing a stranger. Because if no one else sees you, why would you see yourself? Second, invisibility breeds loneliness, not the kind of loneliness that comes from being alone, but the kind that comes from being surrounded by people and still feeling utterly isolated. You can be at a party, in a relationship, at a family dinner, and still feel like no one truly knows you, because they don't. They know the version of you that's convenient, the version that doesn't ask for too much. But the real you, the one with fears and desires and depth, remains hidden, unseen. And third, invisibility creates anger, a quiet, simmering rage that you might not even recognize at first. Because when you spend your whole life being overlooked, a part of you starts to resent the world. You resent the people who get attention effortlessly. You resent the friends who forget about you. You resent yourself for not being enough. But you don't express this anger. You can't, because expressing anger means taking up space, and taking up space is something you've trained yourself not to do. So the anger turns inward. It becomes self-criticism, self-loathing, depression. This is the cost of invisibility. It's not just about being ignored. It's about losing yourself in the process of being unseen. There's another dimension to invisibility that's rarely discussed, the identity crisis it creates. When you feel invisible for long enough, you begin to wonder who you really are. Because identity, in many ways, is shaped through relationship. We come to know ourselves through how others respond to us, through their feedback, their recognition, their acknowledgement of our existence. But when that acknowledgement is absent, when no one reflects back to you who you are, you're left in a kind of vacuum. You start to question everything. Are you funny? You're not sure. No one laughs at your jokes. Are you intelligent? Maybe not. No one asks for your opinion. Are you attractive? Probably not. No one looks at you twice. This isn't vanity. It's not about needing constant validation. It's about the fundamental human need to be witnessed, to have your existence confirmed by another consciousness. Without that confirmation, you start to feel like you're disappearing, like you're fading from reality itself. You might find yourself adopting different personas, trying on different identities, desperately searching for one that will make people notice. You become a chameleon, shifting and changing based on who you're with, never quite sure which version of you is real, because none of them seem to work. None of them seem to make you visible. And in that constant shape-shifting, you lose the thread of who you actually are. Your authentic self, the one that existed before you learned to hide, becomes buried so deep that you can't find it anymore. You become a collection of reactions to other people's indifference, a walking wound shaped by absence. This is perhaps the deepest tragedy of invisibility. It doesn't just make you feel unseen by others. It makes you unseen to yourself. But here's what no one tells you about invisibility. Sometimes it's a defense mechanism. Sometimes you make yourself invisible because it feels safer than being seen. Because being seen means being vulnerable. It means risking rejection. It means opening yourself up to judgment, criticism, abandonment. And if you've been hurt before, if you've been ignored, dismissed, or made to feel unimportant, invisibility becomes a way of protecting yourself. If no one sees you, no one can hurt you. If you don't put yourself out there, you can't be rejected. If you stay small, you stay safe. But here's the paradox. The safety of invisibility is an illusion, because while you might be protecting yourself from external pain, you're inflicting internal pain. You're denying yourself the very thing you need most: connection, belonging, the experience of being truly known. And the longer you stay invisible, the harder it becomes to step into the light, because you've built your entire identity around not being seen. You've convinced yourself that you're not worth seeing, and that belief becomes a prison. There's also a strange comfort in invisibility. It becomes familiar, predictable. You know how to navigate the world when you're unseen. You know the rules, you know your place. And stepping out of that invisibility means entering unknown territory. It means not knowing how people will respond. It means risking disappointment all over again. So you stay hidden, not because you want to, but because it's the devil you know. Because the fear of being seen and then rejected feels more unbearable than the quiet suffering of being invisible. So the question becomes, how do you break free? How do you step into visibility when everything in you has learned to retreat into shadow? The truth is, healing from invisibility doesn't happen overnight. It's not about suddenly becoming louder or more confident or more charismatic. It's about something quieter, something deeper. It's about learning to see yourself even when no one else does. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't determined by how much attention you receive, that your existence isn't validated by how many people remember your name, that you are not invisible. You've just been taught to hide. And maybe, just maybe, it's about finding the courage to stop hiding, to stop shrinking, to stop apologizing for taking up space, because you deserve to be seen, not for what you do, not for how useful you are, but simply for who you are. This doesn't mean you need to perform. It doesn't mean you need to become someone you're not. It just means you need to start believing that you matter, that your voice deserves to be heard, that your presence is enough. And when you start believing that, something shifts. You stop waiting for the world to notice you. You start noticing yourself. And in that act of self-recognition, you begin to reclaim your visibility. You realize that being seen starts with seeing yourself, that being known starts with knowing yourself, that the antidote to invisibility isn't louder performance, it's quieter self-compassion. It's about speaking up, even when your voice shakes. It's about sharing your thoughts, even when you're afraid they won't matter. It's about taking up space, even when every instinct tells you to shrink. Not because you're trying to prove anything to anyone, but because you're proving something to yourself, that you exist, that you matter, that you are worth noticing. And gradually, as you begin to see yourself, others will too. Not everyone, not all at once, but the right people. The ones who have the capacity to truly see you. The ones who recognize depth when they encounter it. The ones who understand that visibility isn't about volume, it's about authenticity. Because here's the secret: the people worth being seen by are the ones who are willing to look, and when you stop hiding, you give them the chance to find you. Feeling invisible is one of the loneliest experiences a person can endure, but it's not permanent. It's not who you are. It's just a story you've been telling yourself for so long that it started to feel like truth. But stories can be rewritten and visibility can be reclaimed, not by demanding that others see you, but by finally seeing yourself. Maybe the first step to healing is simply being seen by you.